Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I would love to talk to you about the persona more from the psychological point of view and how this persona plays out a function and a role in our life, how we are putting on this mask without even knowing, what it cost us to wear this mask, what is underneath, and how to turn this whole situation around. So the mask, I'll be drawing today a lot of these images when it comes to the mask. Here is us. We are unsure what is happening here. So this is what you show. And this is who you are. Something very important here is to understand that all of us wear some sort of mask in our life. This is a very normal and common thing. If you think about it, the way you show up in your work is different from the way you show up at your home or with your family. The way you show up with your closest friends or your romantic partner is also different to the way that you show up with your family. The way you show up for strangers is different than all of these things, right? So we all have certain persona that we use for certain social settings. Since the moment we were born, we were taught different rules, different ways, different sets of rules that we were supposed to be doing and showing for other people in different social settings, in different environments. And therefore we build up this mask for us. So what we show up to the world is our mask. Okay, so this is the mask. Wow, the color is very bright today. It's almost scary now. I think this got wet. Yes. Okay, so the mask that you show up to the world is very much different from who you actually are. Because not everyone gets to experience your true self, your honest, unfiltered self, and not everyone should, right? So in a way, this mask is protecting us and giving us some sort of protection field from the world and from how we want to show up in the world, how we want to show up for a different set of people, different set of environments, which is all okay. Just to make it very clear here, the problem is not having a mask. The problem arises when you stop distinguishing when you are wearing the mask and when you are not wearing it, okay? Or you do not understand the difference between who you are at your core and what mask are you wearing in certain situations. So that's when the problem comes up, right? So it's not the mask, not the persona. It is not a problem. But let's get deeper into that. First, I'm gonna delete this. Now we're gonna be talking about how the mask forms. We all have certain upbringing where certain sets of rules, certain sets of expectations, and certain sets of behaviors are put upon us, right? So that's how we all grow up. So this is us at some point in our life, let's say maybe in our childhood. And then this is us with the mask that is being built. Oh my gosh. I'm so sorry for how this looks, but it is what it is. Okay, so this is the mask. So how the mask forms. Whenever you get rewarded for something, that's directly moved into the mask. Whenever you got punished for something, that's not gonna go into the mask, right? So that's gonna stay here. Or if we are to be really clear and really true out about it, that's gonna get moved into the shadow. So if you want to watch the video about the shadow, you're welcome to do so. But now we are talking about persona. So it forms through reward and through punishment. Okay, so whatever is rewarded, like I said, whatever is, yes, rewarded, is very good, is gonna get moved into the persona. So the persona is here. Just make it more obvious. So whatever gets rewarded in our childhood, in our behavior, is gonna get moved into our persona. On the other hand, what gets punished is not gonna go into the persona, it's gonna stay here, or it's gonna get moved into the shadow. So it is very straightforward how it's built. Everything that we were praised for, everything that was expected from us, for example, if we were growing up in a family where being very capable and doing things, achieving things was rewarded, that's gonna push into our persona. So we're gonna build this mask for the world where we are the capable one, the high achiever, the one who gets everything done, the one who can handle everything by itself, etc., etc., right? If, for example, in your childhood you were modeled that crying is not rewarded, it's punished in a way, behavior is not preferable, then that's not going to go into our persona, or the opposite of that is going to go into a persona. Just to be clear, it's going to be that the emotions are not welcomed, or showing emotions is not welcome. So we're gonna build a persona that is very strong on the outside, very capable, very put together, but on the inside there is still these things coming up with us, but yet we are hiding it behind this persona. And of course the persona is very welcome because it gave us what we needed, and it gave us, for example, the acceptance, the love, the approval, everything that we were seeking, it gave us. So of course we kept it, and that's a good thing actually. Okay, so let me go even further into this. So let's remove this first. Even though the persona was working for us and it gave us what we needed, there is a hidden cost in this. So let's talk about that, about the cost. The mask is bringing along with it. All right. So here we can see the scale. Is it moving on the direction of the mask? So the mask gets everything, and the real you gets nothing. So we can see the scale is moving towards the mask. The mask is getting rewarded, and the real us gets nothing. So this is the real us, it's the heart. So we are learning, and we are pretty much getting into the belief and into the understanding that the mask is rewarded in this world, and that the real us, the real self that is inside of us, that is not being rewarded, is actually getting nothing. It's getting punished in a way. It's nothing. So it's not preferred for us to be showing up in the world as our real self, right? That's what we are learning. So the belief that we are building here is that our real self is not welcome, is not awarded, is not loved, is not accepted, and is not preferable. Instead, the mask is preferred here, because the society and everything around us is teaching us that the mask is rewarded here. because we show up in the way that other people expect us. We show up in a way that we get rewards. We mold and move ourselves into the sculpture that is preferred and preferable. But we don't see the cost, because the cost is actually hidden. Every time the mask gets rewarded, instead the real self, us, our inner self, our inner being, gets the subliminal message that they are not enough the way they are. They are not welcome, they are not enough, they are not preferred. So that's the real cost, okay? We are learning that our real true essence is not welcome in the world. And we are also learning that the real self needs to be managed, upgraded, hidden. So we are getting all these subliminal messages indirectly that our real true self is supposed to be managed or changed in some sort of way, moved in some sort of way, upgraded or hidden. And whereas the mask is heavily celebrated. So let's write it here. So this is what we are learning subconsciously. And what we are learning is that we cannot come and show up as our real true self. And over the time, we are getting into the understanding, into the knowing that the real self is really not welcome. It shouldn't be even shown. And we stop even trying to bring it up. We are so used to wearing this mask. We are so used to using this mask and wearing it to get what we want, the validation, the need, the love, everything that is behind this mask and everything that is on the other side of when we put on this mask, that we stop even showing up as our real true self. And that is the hidden cost, because we are forgetting what's the real self, the real true essence of us even is. Okay? And the cost is that we are not even present with the real self. Instead, we prefer the mask. And we kind of lose ourselves between distinguishing what is the real self and what is the mask. So that's the whole video today, to remind you what's the real self and what's the mask, and to even be aware that you are wearing some sort of mask, and then to be able to differentiate yourself from it, not to be so impersonated with it, because you understand something is there which is more important than the mask you wear, which is more important than the validation you get, which is more important than the love and affection or success you get when you are wearing this mask. Okay? So there is nothing wrong with the mask. Let me just repeat it again. But it is important to know the difference. We're gonna go even deeper into this. So let's remove that first. Now I want to talk about what happens when the mask becomes you. So let's draw the mask once again. I apologize if this mask looks very creepy, but that's the only way I can draw it. What happens when it becomes us? So this is the mask impersonating us, okay? That's the mask thinking, who am I? What happens? The problem arises when the mask becomes you, as in you forget who you are at your essence, at your core, who you are without the mask, and you start identifying with your mask like that's your true self. And how do you know that? So, for example, when someone asks you who you are, and you start replying with your role, your function, your job title, your achievements, everything that you do for other people, instead of who you really are at your core. And this is very normalized in our society, don't get me wrong. Because if you meet someone at a job interview or whatever, and they ask you, they're not gonna ask you who you are, most of all, right? They're not gonna ask you who you are, they don't care. They're gonna ask you what you achieved, which jobs you worked, which skills you have, etc., etc. which is all cool. It's a part of this game. But if you start identifying with those roles, with those jobs, with those functions too much, that means the mask became you, because you don't know who you are beyond the mask, right? Because we all have different masks that we wear. Like I was saying at the beginning of this video, we wear different masks in our job. We wear different masks in our family, in our home. We wear different masks outside in the public. But that doesn't mean we are faking it. That just means we have a different mask to navigate this society, because that's how the society works and functions. It would be very awkward if you go out in the street and you're completely unfiltered, start speaking your thoughts. I don't know what anyone and everyone feels in the moment, unfiltered at their home, what they are doing, but it would be very strange if you're doing it outside in the public, hey? That's what I mean with this example. So you would get some strange looks. This is what we are talking about. When the mask becomes you and you forget that underneath there is the real unfiltered you that is mostly not even known to other people, right? Let's be honest, it's not known to other people. So if you start answering with roles, functions, jobs, etc., etc., that means the mask became you. You identified with the mask. Carl Jung also called this identification with the persona. So let's write it here. So when you start identifying with the persona, this is how you can see the signs. You do not know who you are underneath. And I've been talking about this a lot. I had a lot of issues with this actually in my own life, because when I went through my spiritual journey, the dark night of the soul, I stopped seeing a sense in these different functions, jobs, identifications, and descriptions of who I am, because I understood that essentially at my very core, I am a human being, I am a soul, I am essence, this essence that I kind of uncovered. And then it was very hard for me to kind of navigate these conversations when you are talking to other people who perhaps didn't have the spiritual awakening yet, or the dark night of the soul, and they are asking only about the roles, the jobs, and the shallow stuff that we are doing in a society. Then you might feel a little bit awkward, like, am I even here? What's the point? Are we pretending to play this game? But now I see differently, because I know these things are parts of this game, right? So all of these parts of the game, there is nothing wrong, nothing good, nothing bad, everything just is. So how we gonna play it and what we gonna make it mean about us, what sense we make out of it, it's completely up to us. So we can use these jobs, we can use these roles in a way to play this game, and we don't have to identify with it. We can observe it. We can be a gentle observant of whatever is happening, whatever role and function we are playing right now, and we don't have to make it mean anything about us, okay? So that's the thing. I want to make this blue, you know, like the song Blue. When the mask becomes who you are, without you understanding that behind the mask you are something else, you are something more, you are something deeper, that's an issue. But otherwise, it is okay to have this mask, okay? I'm repeating again, but I want you to really remember from this video that having these different masks is not the issue or not the problem. We are just wanting to be aware of that. Now, we're gonna be talking a little bit about the shadow anyway, because I want you to understand that these two aspects are always connected, okay? The persona and the shadow. So let's talk about it. The shadow of the mask. In other words, they always exist at the same time, the same person, whatever persona, mask, whatever. Because there is no dark without the light, there is no light without the dark. We have to accept this, okay? There is not only this or that. The life is not black and white. Everything contains parts and particles of both sides of the spectrum. So the shadow. So let's draw this figure. I know you missed my amazing drawings of the figures. Yeah, we are laughing because it's cool. This is the persona. And then the shadow is cast. Yeah, it's gonna be like this, because it's just a shadow. Here's the shadow. I hope that makes sense, and I hope you can see it, because on purpose I made it light, so we understand that this is the shadow, and it's cast behind. So this is the shadow. Maybe we can make the shadow, you know, I never use some kind of colors, so I think now it's a good time to do that. And I try yellow. It's very small, but it shouldn't be a problem, right? As they say. So the shadow. Excusez-moi, this looks kind of funny. If there is a persona, if there is someone who you are, identify yourself as, naturally and inevitably there is gonna be a shadow. Okay, so for example, if you put in your persona that you are super strong, confident, and capable, in your shadow there's gonna be the opposite of that. So there's gonna be parts of you that feel like not good enough. There's gonna be parts of you that are super emotional, and what did I say? Super confident, capable, strong. So there's gonna be parts of you that are not capable of doing things, that feel like they are not good enough, right? This is the shadow that is always cast, right? It's always there. That's why I'm always repeating, guys, and I'm gonna make a new video about the shadow where we go deeper into this. It's important to do the shadow work, because no matter how amazing, incredible your persona is, the opposite sides of the coin is gonna be casted into your shadow, and it's not like you're gonna be able to get away with it, because every time someone is gonna come along who's gonna trigger these parts of you, these shadowy parts of you that you are hiding there, because someone is gonna come up with a certain situation or with certain personality that's gonna trigger you so much that these parts are gonna come up. Okay, so this is a normal and natural process that we are going through as human beings. That's how our psychology works, that's how our subconscious mind works, and that's how our evolution works. So every time you are not facing something, you are not facing your shadow, you are not addressing the parts of you that are hidden there, something is gonna come along to wake it up in you. And whether you like it or not, I'm sorry to say it, I've been through this 1,000,000 times, so I know what I'm talking about. Trust me, I was trying to avoid it and numb it or put it away, ignore it. Every time something is gonna come along to trigger this shadow part of you, so you have a look at that. If you don't do that willingly, it's gonna happen whether you like it or not. It's gonna happen unwillingly, right? So the shadow is a natural part of us, and I don't want to go too deep into this, because like I said, I'm going to be talking in a different new video about this, how to integrate the shadow, but we don't want to also eliminate the shadow. That's not the thing, that's not the point. The point is to integrate it so we become whole, right? So maybe this is a good thing to hear, to make it known that this is the whole of us. There is no need to split us, separate us, remove something, remove the shadow, keep the persona. This is the whole thing. We want to keep the whole thing, but we want to integrate it, and we want to use it in the most integrated way, so we don't make trouble for ourselves and the other people in our life. That makes sense, right? So we are getting back to the things that really what this inner work is about, is to not be suffering inside of us, not cause suffering to other people, and to live in harmony so we can be at peace and calm inside of us. since my whole channel is a bit focused on this in between, I was thinking to bring, of course, these parts into this video to incorporate it. So we're gonna be talking about the in between. Okay, the in between. So again, here comes the figure, and obviously we are standing at the cliff and we are trying to get here and we are not yet there. Okay, so we are here. Surprise, surprise, we are here and we try to get here. When we are in the in-between, and how it relates to the mask, to the psychology, to the persona, to the shadow, as we were talking right now. So the exact point that we find ourselves, when we find ourselves in between, as in not here yet, not here anymore, but not here either, not here yet, is the part and the stage when the mask is falling off. And it's the exact stage when we understand and realize that we get scared. So many of us get scared because we don't understand what's happening. Because perhaps for the first time in our life, we don't have this mask, okay? We don't have it anymore. It's falling off. And that's why we are navigating the in-between. And it's the most real moment that can happen because it's the closest that we can get to our essence, to our core, to the real essence. Essence of who we are, our core. Right? That's why it's so scary, because imagine this guy went all his life, his whole life, he was wearing this mask, and suddenly something happened in their life. It could be just a consistent something nudging and happenings in his life. He had to take this mask off. Or it could be completely abrupt. He found himself here. Suddenly, oh, there is no more path. What do I do? Where do I go? Something happened. Loss, grief, end of relationship, any of those things. And he had to remove the mask because he's not himself anymore. He doesn't know how to navigate it. Because his whole life he was wearing this mask, suddenly it's not there, and he sees that underneath there is something deeper, there is something else, that's the real essence, the core. He was not seeing and understanding before, and now he has to navigate it, now he has to cross this bridge between, but he doesn't know how. So that's why, guys, I'm always talking about these in between, because essentially any situation in your life, any big transition, any big change in your life, it's gonna feel pretty much very similar to this. You are removing the mask, you are moving through changes, and you have to find your way and navigate through this to get to the other side without the familiar, without the known, without the safe. So you have to kind of change your identity, change your mask, put on a new persona to get here, because you cannot enter with the same way you were for your whole life. So that's why this in-between is such a big theme and topic in my channel, because we always come back to that. We always come back to that. Whatever is happening in the in-between, you are changing from what you've been and what you are becoming, but you are not yet there, and we are navigating the in-between. So this is what's happening from the psychological point of view. You are removing the mask and you are asked to go forward with a different mask or different way, different awareness, different perception. This is exactly the gap where something real is available. Real. Okay? The gap. And how you're going to navigate it, how you're going to navigate it is completely up to you. But you really have the opportunity and possibility here to get to the real stuff and choose for yourself a different way. Okay, let's remove this. So just to make it more clear, we're going to be talking about what lives under. Now there are certain layers, okay? So the mask is fallen off, like we were talking in the other. Yeah, it's fallen off, so it doesn't matter how it looks, this is fallen off. And then there are certain layers, like a soil, right? There are so many of them. This is the root, something, you know. There is the soil, something's happening here, something's happening here, it really doesn't matter. And here is the real thing, okay? So it's like a little gem here. Gonna make it yellow. Okay, and the mask is gonna be right, it doesn't matter. So what lives under? And when we are talking about from the point of view of the psychology, and to keep it real and keep it true to Carl Jung, as I mentioned him before, he called this real self. I'm not sure if you can see this part of the board, so just to be sure, I'm gonna remove this layer and we're gonna move it upwards because I don't want you to miss out on this. So this is the real self, the self, okay, as Carl Jung called it. So it's not the persona, it's not the mask. The persona, mask, and the real underneath is the self, based on Carl Jung's teachings. The persona and the mask are hiding underneath the real gem, which is the self. And the self is our true essence, the true core, the true being of us. That's what's underneath. So the real self is less polished, less articulated, for example, less performative. It's just is. It's us. It's our essence. It's our core being. So this self doesn't have to perform anything, doesn't need to be liked, validated, anything. It's just there. And we put on this mask, create the persona, so we are validated, loved, accepted, whatever, for the society, for the requirements that the society set up for us. But the real thing is the self. Why am I mentioning that? Like I said in the previous slide, the in-between is really, really challenging and uncomfortable for so many people, because when you really get to the in-between, like I was on the previous slide, you are at the crossroads, not crossroads, at the cliffs. For so many people, after a long, long time, you are facing something real and true. And maybe for so many, or for your whole life, you were walking around with the persona, with a certain mask. Suddenly this mask falls off and you are facing your whole true self. And it can create all sorts of different disruptions in your life and how you build your life. Because if you are building your life accordingly to how society expects you to, or how, I don't know, your parents expect you to, and then you uncover your real self and you understand this is not who I really am, this is not what I really want, and you never question it, everything is going to crumble down and you're going to have a lot of work and a lot of navigating to do to move through that in between, right? So what we want to do to avoid this is to understand and get familiar with our real true self before it gets to the point where we are forced to do so. So we want to understand who we are at our core, at our being, before we are forced to do so. And we are deleting this. So we are reaching the final part of this video. So sad, but the new video is every week, so stay tuned. Don't get upset. The turn. And we are having this beauty of this, and of course we are holding the mask. So how to turn all of this around, understand what's behind the mask, what is underneath, and then of course wear it but don't be it, okay? Don't become it. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to wear this mask because it's helping us in sort of way, right? We have to have the mask. We have to have the mask for the society. We have to have the mask for our job. We have to have some sort of professionalism, certain way of mannerisms. We have to have some sort of behavior patterns with our family. We have to have some sort of outside with the strangers. We have to wear the mask, but we can wear it. We can still wear it without becoming it, right? We have to be able to understand and distinguish what is the mask. Oh my gosh, this kind of messed it up. Never mind. What is the mask and what's the real true essence of us, the core? This is us, okay? So we put on the mask and then we remove it. We put on the mask and then we remove it. And again, let's not make it confusing. Wearing a mask doesn't mean that we are fake, because we cannot be the real unfiltered self or behaving in certain ways in a society that would cause us a lot of trouble. So we can wear those different masks for different occasions, but we need to be true to ourselves, who we are underneath, and remember that we are not the one with mask. We don't become the mask. We just wear it and then we put it aside, and we wear it and we put it aside, and we still know who we are underneath. So we don't have a problem if we need to remove it all. We can remove it, we can throw it away, we can get rid of it, and it doesn't affect us because we know who we are at our core. That's the whole thing. That's the most important thing. At the end of this video, I would love to ask you guys, and I would love for you to engage in the comments, this question. When you are alone with yourself, it's just you, no one to perform, no one to impress, no one to get validation from, I want you to really ask yourself this question. Who am I? Who am I really? Without all this performance, without all these masks, without all this shadow, without all these personas, without all these expectations from other people, from society, from anyone else. Who am I underneath? And if you feel like pondering that question a little bit or answering in the comments, I would love to hear from you once again. And thank you so much for joining me on this video. I will see you next week.